Hello, everybody. My name is John Lipp. I'm the Executive Director of Friends of the Alameda Animal Shelter. And I want to thank you all for being here today. And I want to acknowledge that this is a very scary time for all of us. There are still so many unknowns out there, and things are changing every day. And actually, even this presentation has been evolving up until the last minute. I want to extend my personal gratitude to our staff at FOZ who have been working nonstop on this issue, and by continuing to provide essential services to our community, are also on the front lines of fighting this pandemic. You know, our team started planning for the consequences of the COVID-19 outbreak on March 12th, and we have not stopped planning ever since. We're doing our best to stay one step ahead and to make sure we have the systems and programs in place to serve our community. At the end of the day, though, it's all about safety. And we know that we must take care of our neighbors on two legs to ensure that they will be here to care for our friends on four legs. And I want to thank our friends at the City of Alameda, our amazing volunteers, our board members, and our donors who are doing everything possible to help FOZ stay strong today and into the future. And finally, a huge shout out to the 70+ foster families who opened their hearts and their homes to our shelter animals, allowing us to essentially clear the shelter, keep our volunteers and our staff and our community safe, and are helping us prepare for the next wave in fighting this fight. So I'm gonna do a quick screen share so you can get our presentation up. Let's see. Hopefully that's all coming up there. One sec. All right, can you all see that okay? I'm
Yes.
going to take that as a yes.
Yes.
So it is my pleasure to introduce our presenters for today. Steve Ferguson, who's our operations director. Hey, Steve. Give us a big wave. We'll be talking about the essential services at FOZ during the shelter-in-place time. Dr. Marie Ann Woolley, our medical director, will be here to talk about what we know about COVID. Hey, Marie. COVID-19 and pets, and how to keep everyone safe. Was that your fan club? Shannon Shelby, our outreach coordinator, will talk about our expanded pet food pantry program at FOZ. And Harriet Tuego, our community support manager, will be here to discuss our home-to-home program. You will notice on your screen there is a Q&A box. Please feel free to write questions to us, and I will do my best to forward to the appropriate staff member during the webinar or at the end, and we'll try to answer all your questions. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, I'm hoping the video is going through. If not, you can type, if it is, you can type questions in the comments box and we'll do our best to answer those in real time or after the webinar. And just before we start, we want to do a quick little poll for everybody. I'm just really curious. I want to know how many people on here have pets and how many pets you have, whether they're forever pets or foster pets that are currently a part of your family. And you're going to see a little poll pop up and you get to answer. You have 1, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you have 7 or more pets. Wow, you guys are good. You got 5 more people still waiting to vote. Okay. Well, 77% of you have voted, and it's pretty much split across the board. About 36% of you have 1 pet, about a quarter have 2, and about a quarter have 3. And then there's about 15% that have 4 or more pets. Our kind of people at FOZ. All right, thank you so much for that. And, wait a minute, can you see that? Very cool. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Steve, hi, everybody. So first, I'd like to start off just echoing what John said. When the call went out for fosters, I think it took about 2 days, and we cleaned out the shelter. Every single animal was able to find a comfortable home to move to, and it was no easy feat, but it was the staff and the response from the community was just overwhelming. So thank you to everybody involved in that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is essential services at the shelter. We are as you're probably aware, completely closed down to the public for the most part. But there are main essential services dealing with homeless pets in the city of Alameda. So let's talk about what you do if you find a stray animal. And we're going to break that down into cats and dogs. Speaking of dogs. If you've got an unfamiliar cat roaming through your neighborhood, you need to ask yourself a couple questions. Does it appear healthy? Does it appear well fed? And most importantly, is it in a safe area? And if the answer to all those questions are yes, what do you do? Ignore the cat. Cats can free roam throughout neighborhoods. It is most likely owned, and when dinner time rolls around, it will go back home. If you start feeding it or leaving food and supplies out for it, it's not necessarily gonna leave your property because it found a gold mine there. So if it's healthy, appears well fed, and in a safe location, you can leave the cat be. So if it appears unhealthy, limping or whatever the situation may be, or it's very skinny, emaciated, or it's right near a very busy street, that's when you want to take some action for a stray cat. And the first thing you would want to do is contact Animal Control, Alameda Animal Control at 510-337-8340. And they will, when possible, dispatch an officer out to capture the cat and bring it to the shelter. If you're unable to get a response from Alameda Animal Control, and let me start by saying we have one animal control officer in the entire city of Alameda, so they may not always be able to dispatch someone to come aid you. If you can capture the cat and bring it to the shelter, that would be your next ideal situation. Bring the cat to the shelter, remain in your car, call the shelter, and we will come out and take care of everything. Now let's talk about dogs. If you see a stray dog roaming around, if it's friendly and comes right up to you and you can capture it, that's great. Otherwise, if it appears skittish and is running from you, you want to again contact Alameda Animal Control. And they will dispatch an officer or officer and ESCO out to try and help wrangle it. If it's friendly and it comes to you and you're able to do so, you can transport it to the shelter. And again, remain in your car, call us from the parking lot, and we will come out and help you with that. And I'll go into a little more detail as to what to expect once you arrive at the shelter in just a moment. Next slide. So the next slide is if you've lost an animal, if your animal is missing, you will want to report it to the animal shelter immediately, as soon as possible. We are still staffed 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., even though the doors are locked and we are closed to the public. Someone will be there to answer the phone during those hours. If you're calling us off hours, feel free to leave a message. The information we're looking for is a description of your pet. Where was it last seen? What cross streets? What neighborhood? Is it microchipped? And if possible, you can email us a photo of the pet. We will put all of this into our lost pet database. And if anyone matching that description, if we get a call about it or they come into the shelter, we will contact you immediately. And of course, you want to leave the best contact information for you as well. You can leave email and or phone numbers for us. And someone will get back to you as soon as we hear something about the pet. Relatively non-essential service, next slide, that we are still performing is licensing. All cats and dogs within the city of Alameda, of course, have to be licensed. And the licensing is based on your rabies vaccination. So what we require to issue your license is a current rabies vaccination certificate that you get from your veterinarian. You can fax that to us, you can email it over to us, and we will update your licensing and give you a call, and we can process everything over the phone. So licensing is still a requirement here in the city of Alameda, and it can be done by phone and or email when necessary. So again, it's all based on the rabies vaccination, and it's in times like this, it's especially important to make sure your animals remain vaccinated. So I mentioned animal care and control. It is run by the Alameda Police Department, and we do, as I mentioned, have one animal control officer, Officer Inesco, who you'll see is with Shannon at the shelter right now. And she is basically business as usual as far as helping the public deal with stray animals, deal with deceased animals, things of that nature. One of the main changes to her responsibilities right now during this crisis is she will not be responding to wildlife calls unless it's a dangerous situation. So if you've got an injured goose on your property or something in that nature, she unfortunately would not be able to respond. My understanding is that the local wildlife hospitals and sanctuaries are actually closed right now as well. We're trying to get confirmation on a couple of them in the area, but it does seem like they're all shut down. So wildlife will not be addressed quite as expeditiously as it has been in the past. But otherwise, for stray calls and dangerous dogs, Elena and Alameda Animal Control will respond as they have in the past. If you've got nuisance calls for animal control, a barking dog or something of that nature, she will try and handle it over the phone or via email as much as possible, but you may not get a face-to-face visit during the shelter-in-place order. The social distancing will prevent her from making a visit to your home under circumstances like that. But otherwise, she's available to answer your questions via email or phone as usual. Next slide. We are maintaining our pet loss support group. It has moved to a virtual meeting using Zoom like we're on right now. It is the third Monday of every month. The next meeting coming up is the 20th of April. And if you're interested in attending it, just send an email to supportgroup@alamedaanimalshelter.org, and you'll be sent a link to the meeting as well as a password to get on. Again, it's every third Monday of the month starting at 6 p.m. and it is free to attend, and anyone interested is able to attend those. But we want to try this new technology and keep it going. Essentially, in a nutshell, until further notice, Fortman and our Falls South Shore location are closed to the public. We are suspending all adoptions to prevent any need to break social distancing by meeting someone with a pet that you're interested in adopting. Our on-site volunteer services have been suspended. Our events through the end of May have been canceled or suspended. And we will not take in owner surrenders unless it is an emergency intake. Again, no owner surrenders coming in the shelter unless it's an emergency. Our events have been suspended. Our volunteers and adoptions are also suspended until further notice. So we are open, the shelter is open, the shelter is staffed, but only for essential services.
Great.
Any questions, I'm happy to answer those at the end of the presentation. Otherwise, thank you very much.
So I don't see any questions now, Steve, but again, just type in the questions on the Q&A and we will get to those at the end. And I'm happy to introduce Dr. Woolley to talk about COVID-19 and your own domestic pets. Dr. Woolley, it's all yours.
Hello, I'm Dr. Woolley, and I'll be discussing the COVID-19 and our pets. Next slide, please. What we know. What do we know about the COVID-19 virus? In the past 3 to 4 months, what the experts have been telling us has changed significantly. It changes almost every day. Next slide. For example, there was a cat recently in Belgium that showed GI and respiratory symptoms and tested positive for the virus. And there were also 2 dogs from Hong Kong that tested weak positive, but they showed no symptoms. Next slide, please. So cats are definitely more likely to show signs, but they are considered a dead-end host. That means that the virus is unable to reproduce within the cat to infect another animal or people. Next slide. What about pets that are coming from an infected household? I am pleased to tell you, for the well-being of the pet, family, and community, The AVMA's recommendation is to keep the pet in the home. It is a well-known fact that people are less likely to seek medical care for themselves if they fear their pets will be taken away from them. Also, pets play a positive role in our health and recovery. Removing pets from the home could also overwhelm our shelters and our resources. Even though there is no proof that people can catch COVID-19 from an animal, precautions should still be taken. Next slide. What if we do have to remove a pet from a home that's positive? Are the pets themselves infected or not? We know that they could be positive. It's definitely a possibility. Could the viruses be on the hair coat? Most likely, yes. How long do they remain? It could be a couple of hours to a couple of days. And then can the virus be removed? We'll talk about that more. Next slide. So how do we handle pets that come from positive households? There's a personal protective equipment, but as we all know, those gowns, gloves, and masks are in short supply because they're going to the human side. And within the human side, it's even in short supply. So maybe we think about moving the animals directly to a kennel so that we don't have to gown up and put them in isolation. For now, instead of 2 to 3 days, they're actually recommended 14 days of isolation. And that's just something new that came out. Next slide. What about bathing? Bathing is an option, but we have things to consider. When would we do some bathing? Maybe in the shelters if they get overcrowded and we can no longer isolate properly. But then we have the issue of temperament and the PPEs that are running low. Are there alternatives? Absolutely. There's topical rinses. There's mousses that we could apply. And there are pet-safe disinfecting wipes that we can use at key points, such as the top of the head, the back, and even the paws. Next slide. Now for symptom-free households, normal interaction. Pet those pets. They make us happy. Just remember to wash your hands frequently throughout the day, especially after petting or playing with your pets. But just don't panic. We're in this together and we're here to help each other. We're here to help you. Next slide. I've heard about people saying, well, what about testing pets? Yes, we can test pets, but it is recommended that we only test them if they come from a positive household and they're showing signs. Humans need the test first, and then it'll trickle down to our pet friends. Next slide. How about being active with our pets? We definitely should be active with our pets. It's very important for us and them. You and your dog should stay away from other people and their dogs 6 feet apart. Don't let anyone pet or socialize with your pet, except, of course, the veterinary staff or animal control officer when needed. Don't pet another dog. Keep your pet away from the stool of other animals, and no sniffing. Next slide. Seeking veterinary care. Absolutely. Most veterinary hospitals will remain open, especially for emergency and essential services. However, they'll recommend that you stay in your car. You call when you get into the parking lot. A staff member will come out, ask you questions about your own health, and then they'll proceed from there. And also, in emergency times such as this, the Veterinary Medical Board is allowing veterinarians to provide care and prescribe medication via phone, email, and video. Next slide. One thing we definitely should be doing is thinking about pet caregivers, and it's recommended that we have 1 to 3 potential caregivers. And before you need them, let's discuss in advance with all those that are involved. Because the shelter is going to be used as a last resort. There's no long-term care available in shelters. We move those animals in and out fairly quickly so we have room for others. Next slide. We all definitely should have an emergency kit, especially living in California. And in those kits, I like to see the name, number, address of the regular and emergency veterinary hospitals, vaccine records, enough food and medication for 2 to 4 weeks, clear directions for the medications and feeding instructions, included leash, collars, poop bags, carriers or kennels, litter box, litter for 2 to 4 weeks, maybe even a tag. You definitely should have contact information pertaining to a family member. So if you're not a family member, you can get information about the owner of the pet you're taking care of. And finally, microchips. Everybody's pet hopefully has a microchip. Make sure that information is up to date. And if you know the number, you can see on the screen there, you can check it at the website, petmicrochiplookup.org. And you just type in the number and you'll make sure that your name and number is current on there. For microchips, if you don't know the number, we and veterinary hospitals have scanners, and we should be able to do that without having to break protocol. Next slide. What about if you find kittens? Now what? Leave the kittens where they are. Mama cat may be moving her litter to a safer spot, but she can only carry one kitten at a time, or she may be hunting or scavenging for food. It's okay to leave them there for 4 hours and recheck. If the same number of kittens are still there, then we should do something. Call the shelter and we'll help you out. Next slide. The one thing I wanted to say to you is don't be frightened. Just be well informed and well prepared. The last thing is that this is a slide that shows us some resources for up-to-date information. You can go onto their websites and get the most recent information. I'd like to say thank you for your attention, and if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Hey, Dr. Woolley, we do have a question.
Yes.
One of our guests is asking, is it safe for my family to take my dog into the vet for procedures such as teeth cleaning?
So for teeth cleaning, that's non-essential unless they have some type of injury to the mouth or they have a tooth root abscess that needs to be treated. But dentals are considered non-essential.
Thank you. And there's another question about cats, and you had mentioned that cats are thought to be dead-end host. Does
Yes.
that include for other cats, and can they transmit to other cats?
That's correct. Any other animal or people, they're dead-end hosts. They will not be able to transfer that virus to another animal or person.
Excellent. Okay, so you can still ask questions. Again, if you can use the Q&A box, we'll get back to those, and we'll have a chance at the end as well to answer more questions. Thank you,
Great,
Dr. Woolley.
You're welcome.
Shannon.
Hi.
Hey, you're here to talk about our expanded pet food pantry program, which is something we're really excited about.
Yeah. So normally our pet food pantry is on the second Saturday of each month, but we've now expanded it to every Saturday. It's 10 a.m. to noon, or based on when we run out of the supplies. We'll definitely try to help as many people as possible. So you will come down to the shelter at 1590 Fortman Way, and we are asking everyone to please stay in your car and just have your trunk ready. Try and clear it out so we can just put the food straight into the car and try to keep social distancing and no contact. We will have everyone line up in our driveway and bring a car in at a time. If you do not have a car, we will ask you to line up on the sidewalk, and we'll bring you in one at a time, keeping the social distancing. Max food it's 3 dogs and or 3 cats. We provide a 1 month supply per animal, and we limit it to once a month per household coming in. If you are showing symptoms, please send someone on your behalf to pick up the food. And we're going to try to help as many people as possible. If you do have any questions in our homebound, please call the shelter at 510-337-8565, and we'll help you out best we can.
Hey, thank you, Shannon. Hey, Dr. Woolley, I'm just going to unmute you for, thank you. A question just came in about somebody who, their dog goes out with the dog walker with pack. Do you recommend that they stop that activity for the time being?
That's correct. We do not recommend that they do pet walks, into dog parks. I think actually they closed dog parks in California, so they're not supposed to be walking them anyway. So please do not walk your dogs in packs.
Thank you, Dr. Woolley. So Shannon, 2 more questions came in about the pet food pantry program. And the first one, is there an application or family income limit to use the pet food pantry?
No, when you show up, we will ask for like a name, phone number, and email address in case we need to contact you about if we need to reschedule or change anything. But otherwise, there is no application. We want to make sure that with what's going on, people are able to still take care of their pets and feed them.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. So if people tell us they need pet food, we will provide you the pet food and supplies.
Yes.
By the way, a quick shout out to our donors who are making that possible, as well as the Humane Society of Alameda, who are sponsoring this expansion of the program. We're very grateful. And then another question from our friend Greg, who's talking about volunteer staffing for the food pantry program. And I can answer that one, Shannon, but feel free to jump in as well. So right now, our goal is to limit as many people as possible who are on site for the health and safety of our volunteers and staff. So at this point, we're using our existing staff to manage the pet food pantry program. If the program grows, we may reach out to some of our lead volunteers who've been running the program in the past. We'll let you know. But at this point, as we start this weekend, we're going to keep it with just our staff to limit the number of people. Anything you want to add to that, Shannon?
No, I think that's good. Yeah, we just want to try and keep the social distancing, so keep it small.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, no problem.
And Harry, I'm glad to pass this over to you to talk about a very important new program we launched in January. Very good timing, our home-to-home program.
Yes, if we had only known. Quite fortuitously, we just recently got this program going. And in case there are any of you out there who don't know exactly what it is yet, it's our new community rehoming program. In which we facilitate pets. If someone really needs to rehome their pet, we facilitate that pet going directly from your home into someone else's home with no shelter stay. That's a great thing. There is a URL up there on the slide, but I'll also show you a couple of other ways to access that, and that URL will show up again at the end. Also would just like to encourage everyone to kind of take a deep breath. You know, the decision to rehome your pet is a difficult one, and sometimes we're in crisis, but you know, these are very unusual times. So yeah, just try to think carefully. Does it really need to be done at this time, or can it wait? But let's say that you do need to do it right now. Okay, so next slide, please. Thanks. So this community rehoming has a number of benefits. For one thing, it is a much safer way to do it than coming into the shelter with your animal. It allows you to maintain shelter in place for the most part, and social distancing for the little pieces of it where you do have to interact. So it's much safer. Also, it has the added benefits of keeping animals out of the shelter, which could possibly be overwhelmed. That reduces stress for the animals, and also helps us to preserve shelter resources. Next slide, please. Now, there are a few rules in order to participate in this program. At this time, we're limiting it to residents of the city of Alameda for people rehoming their pets, although adopters can be from anywhere. And also, a very important rule is that no fees can be charged for using this service. That's a rule laid down by the home-to-home program itself, and they want us to abide by that. And the reason is that this program is all about finding the best home for your pet. The most important things for that are open communication, and when money gets involved, then that tends to cloud the issue. So no fees can be charged. Next slide. Okay, so how do you get started? You can also, you could go to that URL, which will show up at the end directly. That's a direct route to the FOS home-to-home site, or you can just go to our regular website. And on the regular website, there are a couple of links to the site. On the Adopt a Pet menu, there's a home-to-home link, and in the Tools and Resources menu, if you click FOS programs, and then you scroll down through the programs till you get to home-to-home. These will lead you through to the home-to-home site, which has two big tabs up at the top, one for if you're looking for a pet to adopt, and the other if you need to rehome your pet. So of course you would click on rehome your pet. Now this site has a lot of great information, so I encourage you to poke around in there and look for things. There are some really good tips on writing a profile of your pet, and also there's even a sample pet rehoming agreement if you should choose to actually use an agreement with the adopter, the person who wants to adopt your pet. Next slide. Okay, so then once you click on the rehome your pet, it will walk you through the process of entering your information and your pet's information so that it can be published online. It's very simple, and it just takes you step by step through it. Just a couple of points I'd like to make. One is, take the time to really be careful in crafting your pet's description. That's a really important thing, piece of this process. And open communication is something that's really important in terms of finding a good match between your pet and the next home. Also, of course, you want to upload some photos of your pet, and there are actually two areas for photos. One is the profile photo, and then there's another area for additional photos. And the profile photo is super important. If you don't upload the profile photo, but just upload photos into the additional area, there will be no way for your pet to appear in the list. So the profile photo is key for it to appear on the website. And then if you want to add additional photos to that other area there, that would be great. Once it's submitted, it's approved by us, and then it will be published to both the home-to-home site, which is home-home.org, and the FOZ Facebook page. Next slide. So once your pet's profile is published, you will be getting people reaching out to you that are interested in your pet. So just want to encourage you again to be safe and responsible and following the shelter-in-place as much as possible, and social distancing. So screen people by phone first, so you can, a lot of cases maybe you find out that someone's not a good fit without even leaving home. But let's say after screening them by phone or by email is a good choice too. And it does sound like it might be a good fit and you want to go to the next step. So if you're going to meet them, definitely meet somewhere outdoors, not in an enclosed space, and of course away from others. So keep your 6 feet of distance from all other people and animals at all times. And then of course, once it's all over and you're back home, wash your hands. Yeah, so that's it. Of course, you can always reach out with any questions you have. My email is there on the slide, and the phone number of the shelter as well, and they'll connect you up with me if they can't answer your questions directly. So just want to say a big thank you to the Panhandle Animal Shelter in Sandpoint, Idaho, who actually created this home-to-home program and set up the website for us, and Maddie's Fund, who provided funding.
Hey, thank you, Harry. It's a phenomenal program, and again, we don't want anybody to have to rehome their pet, but we think it's a great service that people need to, especially because at this point we can only bring in emergency surrenders. So thanks, Harry, for running this program. And actually, a question just came in for you, Harry. So if somebody is part of this program, do they bring the pet to FOZ to do the handover, the switchover, or do they do it privately?
No, they don't need to. So FOZ does not need to be involved. We are just facilitating allowing you to publish your pet through our online resources, but you communicate directly with the people that potentially will adopt your pet. So you talk with them directly, you arrange with them directly for the switchover. And we are not involved in approving that in any way. So it's really up to you to make the decision for to find the best home for your pet.
Great. Thank you, Harry. And then there's a question, Shannon, for you about the Pet Food Pantry program.
Yes.
And we mentioned that if somebody is homebound or disabled and is unable to get there and doesn't have a caregiver who can help pick up the pet food, will we be able to deliver for them?
Yes, we can arrange something to get food to them. We'll probably just leave it on the doorstep, let them know when we're dropping it off, and they can go out and pick it up after we drop it off.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a question, I guess, Dr. Woolley.
Yes.
So how should we socialize our pets, such as puppies, during this period?
So the bad news is, to socialize them, it can only be within the household. You do not want to have your pet socializing outside of the house. So this is a bad time to socialize puppies, but do it in the house. If you have other family members that are within that household, that's great. But again, you don't want anybody coming from other households or outside of the house to socialize. Sorry.
No, thank you. That's another reason why it's so important for us all to participate and flatten the curve and stay inside and keep safe, because the more we do it and the quicker we do it, the faster this will end. And the faster we can get back out to our parks and socializing with each other and our dogs. A person asked, my cats go outside. Is that a problem?
That can be a problem, but it's hard because once they've gone outside, inside, outside for their whole life, it's very hard to retrain a cat to be inside. So what you can do is think about maybe wiping them down when they come in, and you don't have to give them a bath, but you can just take a damp towel, wipe them down, especially their paws, their head, and their back, and then that towel is now considered a contaminant. Put it in the washer.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And somebody asked about the slides. And so, yes, we will be posting the slides on our website and on our social media, so you don't have to worry about writing really fast or capturing everything with a screenshot. And we're also recording this webinar right now, so this will also be shared. You can rewatch it if you want to. And then there's a question, kind of a behavior question. And the person writes, my dog has been acting differently since shelter at home. I work from home, but now my husband is also working from home. Ever since she spends, just disappeared, but apparently the bulk of the question is, ever since they've both been home, she's spending all of her time with one person and seems a little bit distant from the other person. So it's kind of a behavior question.
Yeah, that can happen because the pets are actually stressed like we are. They're not used to it. They're used to us leaving the house at a certain time, coming back by a certain time, taking them out on walks, things like that. We can't do that anymore. So what you can think about doing is maybe having a separate area so that you can work in one area and then you take them to another part, the living room, downstairs, family room, etc., and play with them down there. And you can play with them separately and then together, and that way they can kind of have everybody as their play partner.
That's very interesting. Yeah. Okay. And then there's a recommendation for any products that are the best for wiping dogs and pets down safely.
Yes, there are veterinary products. One is called Douxo, D-O-U-X-O, and they have wipes. You probably have to talk to your veterinarian to order them in, but they are labeled for both cats and dogs.
And Dr. Willie, what about just like baby wipes?
Baby wipes, they don't have the disinfection status, but that's okay. You still want something to wipe down, and again, wipe the points and then throw that away and wash your hands. Make sure you're always washing your hands. Excellent,
thank you. So this last one is not a question, but it's going to make me cry, so bear with me. Kimberly wrote, does the FOS staff, volunteers, and Elena know how much we appreciate them, miss them, and are thankful for all you do?
No.
Thank you.
Now we know.
I can't say enough how appreciative we are about our community. Everything we do is because of the support of all of you. So thank you for that, Kimberly. Kimberly said, Ranger loves you.
That's to me.
That is to you, Steve.
I miss Ranger.
Oh, Ranger.
So if there's a question we didn't answer, that's my email address. You can email me directly at jlip@alamedaanimalshelter.org, and I will forward the question to the appropriate staff member, and they will respond to you within what, a day or two? That's fair, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple of quick announcements. We are going to be doing another training in about a week for our brand new Bottle Baby Brigade program. And these are the amazing volunteers that bottle feed the kittens. We are anticipating an epic kitten season, and unfortunately, I don't mean that in a good way. We're going to have a lot of kittens out there. Spay-neuter surgeries have been suspended throughout the state right now, both for the safety of the veterinarians and the vets, techs, and staff, as well as the fact that we need to preserve the medical supplies for people in the crisis in the human hospitals. But because of that, we know there's going to be a lot of kittens out there. So we are hoping to pre-train as many people as possible in the community about what to do when you find kittens and after they've been hopefully weaned from their mother. And if their mother has left them, how to bottle feed them to get them healthy until we can reopen and get them back into our adoption center. So look for that training. It's coming up in about a week or two. And we'll be posting a lot more information on our website as well. And then I just got one more question about donations to FAWS, and absolutely, we are incredibly grateful for donations. It's the donations that are helping us expand our food bank program, our other safety net programs, and helping to make sure that we are here today and into the future as well. So thank you for asking that. And obviously the best way to donate is online at AlamedaAnimalShelter.org. To our donate page. Is completely safe, and the donations do help immediately right now with these critical programs we're hoping to expand. So thank you for that question. And we're going to do one more poll before we take off here. Oh, I'm sorry, one more question. Okay, regarding the animals being fostered right now, are they available for adoption? And Steve, I'll let you answer that one.
Sure. So as I had mentioned, all adoptions are suspended right now, and that's specifically to avoid having to interact with people and break the social distancing. So all of our animals are out in foster homes. When we do get in new stray animals, they do have to go onto a minimum 2-day hold. They are moved out into foster homes, and nothing is going on as far as adoptions with them. We hope to be back up and running back to normal adoption procedures as soon as this crisis ends. But for now, we're doing everything we can to promote social distancing. That being said, I would like to mention that the Alameda Support Foundation has generously offered to sponsor the adoption fee for any foster family that decides they can't part with their baby and they want to adopt. Just big thanks to them for doing that. But those are the only adoptions that we will be processing right now. The animal is already in their home, and we're able to do everything over the phone and
Great. Thank you, Steve. So we're going to do one more poll, and we kind of want to get an idea what other topics would interest you for future FAWS webinars. We're launching it right now. You can vote for whichever ones are the most important to you. And fear not, we probably have enough time to do them all in the coming weeks. I realize there's a lot to read there, so we'll give you another 30 seconds or so to pick your choices. All right. So I'm going to end the polling, but fear not, you can always email us at info@AlamedaAnimalShelter.org for your suggestions. And I'm going to share the results there. So Dr. Willie, we're going to keep you pretty busy.
It looks like it.
Yeah. Pet nutrition. Elena, we're going to get you on here too with a webinar about laws in Alameda relating to pets and animals.
Okay.
That's really helpful. And a lot of really people interested in webinars about welcoming new animals into your family, which we know is going to be happening as soon as we all get through this. So awesome. So I just, again, want to thank you all for participating. I want to thank our incredible community and our amazing staff, our amazing team. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Please, everybody, wash your hands, stay inside, and stay safe. Thank you all so much.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
How do you